Can I taste your juice?
Hey folks, PBusardo, what's going on? I'm excited. I'm excited to share this product with you. I'm excited to talk to you about this product from Vapefly, the Galaxies MTL RDTA. In 2 words, I think they nailed it. A lot of things going on here that I really like, including vape quality. A couple things here that I don't like, I think could be improved a little bit, but we're going to get to all of that. So what is it? Where are you going to get it? And how much is it going to cost you? It is a MTL RDTA. What does all that stuff mean? MTL, mouth to lung, RDTA, rebuildable dripping tank atomizer. The dripping part I'm not so sure about. But that's what it is, okay? So it's a rebuildable tank atomizer that you can use as a squonk atomizer, okay? So when we squonk with this, when we actually fill up the tank, we don't like apply e-liquid directly to the coil. It's kind of like indirectly to the coil. It comes in a few different colors for you. It comes in a stainless, a black, a blue, and a rainbow. You are going to see the stainless in this video. The tank section on this has about a 2 milliliter capacity, and it is made of 304 stainless steel. So that's kind of what it is. Where are you going to get it? Potentially, I did my usual Google search. Heaven Gifts came up first, and they have it for $43.49. Also comes with a 60-day warranty, okay? So that's what it is, potentially where you're going to get it, potentially what it's going to cost you. Let's get into the Vapefly Galaxies MTL RDTA. And I know we have an outstanding Not a Contest currently running, but there will be another one at the end of this video for this tank. Okay, guys, so here is the box that the Vapefly MTL RDTA comes in. We've looked at a couple other products from Vapefly. And this is actually not the real retail box. Andy, attention, Andy. I love you. I think you're terrific, but you have to start getting me the real retail packages so I can show people. Also, this package does not have a manual, so I am not sure if the final retail version, they have assured me already that the tank is the final retail version, but I'm not sure if the final retail version of the package has a manual in it, okay? Which I think is extremely important to have a manual, but this does not have one, okay? So we do see sample up here. Here we see Vapefly's website. Here we see a thank you for reviewing our product. The top, nothing. The bottom, nothing. So, oh, and the back, of course, some information about the product. And no scratch and sniff authenticity sticker on this one. There might be one on the real retail box, okay? So let's open this up and see what we get. We get a box inside the cover. And by the way, there are 2 security seals down here at the bottom. So let's open this up. And we see upside down, we see the tank itself. Here is the tank, obviously the silver one. We are going to get a spare glass section right there. Underneath here, we're going to have something else that's underneath there. And then finally, we are going to find an extensive bag of goodies here. This is going to have another mouthpiece, a slightly longer mouthpiece. We're going to see some replacement screws. We're going to see a tool in there. We're going to see a whole bunch of O-rings. And we are going to find a different 510 pin right there. One is going to be for just standard use, and one is going to be a bottom feeding pin or a squonk pin. Also in here, we're going to have this little bag. We got 2 pre-made coils. Those coils are 2.5 millimeter, 1 ohm, 26 gauge, NI80. And I appreciate the very complete labeling on those 2 coils, along with a sheet of cotton for you for your builds, okay? So a very all-inclusive kit here. All right, so let's take a look at the tank itself. We'll start off by getting some measurements for you. We'll go to the base here to the top of this mouthpiece, and we get about 40 millimeters. And of course, this is a 22 millimeter tank. So if I measure this at the bottom, that is about what we get. All right, we'll talk about these 2 mouthpieces that come with it. I believe these are both a Delrin material. You'll notice that they are definitely different in height. Okay, so the black one is going to be a little bit taller for you, and also the bore is a little bit different. The black one has a little bit of a tighter bore to it, which is probably going to lead to a little bit more condensation in your mouth should you be using the black one. I did have just a little bit of condensation in the mouth with this one, less with this one. I find both of these mouthpieces to be extremely comfortable. This one a little bit more so. So let's take a look at the dimensions on these mouthpieces here. We'll go like that. We'll see this, and we see about 11.44 millimeters, and the inner bore on this one is about 3.12 millimeters. Let's do the same thing with the black one now. The black one is about 15.3 millimeters in height, and the bore on this one is about 2.34 millimeters. And I can show you real quickly what it looks like with the clear mouthpiece. The clear mouthpiece also, when you're using it, it does show a little bit of a condensation on the inside. So if you're using like a darker e-liquid, you might see that with the clear one. And here's what it looks like with the slightly longer black one. Okay, so let's take the black one off. Let's put the clear one back on. And let's talk a little bit more about this. We have some heat dissipation fins up here that's going to remove some of the heat from the vape before it gets to your mouth. We see the kind of star constellation they use on their atomizers. Obviously, Vapefly Galaxies, okay, so I guess this is supposed to be a galaxy. We're also going to see the air holes, okay? So if I zoom in here a little bit, we're going to see 3 air holes on this side, and on this side, we're going to see a total of 6 air holes. Now, I can tell you the size of these holes, and they're the same here. So the largest hole here is going to be 2 millimeters, followed by 1.4 millimeters, followed by 0.8 millimeters. And on the other side, it's the same. We got 2 millimeters, followed by 1.4 millimeters, followed by 0.8 millimeters, and then it goes in reverse. Another 0.8 millimeter, a 1.4 millimeter, and then a 2 millimeter. So the purpose of that is to give you 6 different airflow settings. So the airflow 2 is really nicely done. It does have 2 stop points. So here I am fully closed, and all the way over here where it stops, I am fully open. So fully open is going to give me access to that air hole and this air hole. So both of the 2 millimeter air holes are open. So if I go back over here and I switched it over to the 1.4, and then I come around here, you'll notice the 1.4 is open. So now I have 2 1.4 millimeter air holes open. If I go down here to the smallest, the 0.8, which is very difficult to see, by the way, detents would always help, but detents would make the design a lot more complex. Here we have the 0.8 open on this side, and on the other side, the same thing, the 0.8. Now we get to the single hole. So now if I continue to go to there, we have a single 0.8 millimeter hole showing. On the other side, we are closed. Okay, so now I can open the single 0.8, or I can open the single 1.4, or I could open the single 2 millimeter. So that is how the airflow adjustment works on this tank. Now, I want to set this atomizer up to do some squonking, so I'm going to remove this pin. I'm going to replace it with the squonk pin, and I hope you don't mind. I'm not going to use their tool. I'm just going to use some of my tools here. So let's go ahead and unscrew this pin, and we can take a look at it. It's a gold-plated something, probably gold-plated stainless, and we see no holes on that pin, and also no hole going into the pin. Now, if we take a look at the squonk pin, we're going to notice 2 little holes there at the top. You see one right there, and one right there. Okay, it actually goes straight through. And then a hole here at the bottom, okay? So that's going to feed e-liquid up to the pin and into the tank. So let's go ahead and put this in its place. Okay. All right, so I have this on device now, and one of the things that I appreciate are the 2 stop points that we have with this airflow controller, because number one, it doesn't spin all the way around, so it makes tightening the atomizer on your device very, very easy, and since it doesn't spin all the way around, it also makes removing the atomizer from your device very, very easy. All right, so we're going to get more into this. We're going to break this down into its individual pieces and parts, but I do want to show you the build deck here real quick. So I'll go ahead and pop the cap, and we'll take a look at what's going on in here. A whole lot of gold plating is going on in there. I'm not sure how necessary that is, but it is there for you. I can tell you that I have used this in temperature control a lot with really, really good success. Now, all of the adjustments in here are going to be made with hex screws, okay? So we have hex screws here to capture the leads. We also have hex screw adjustments here for different kinds of airflow. So you are going to need either your own, or you're going to have to use the tool that comes with the tank. So what about adjustments? So down here we have the main airflow, and that's going to hit your coil from underneath. And that is like the only thing that I don't have a measurement for and I'm going to try to get it for you, but it's going to be difficult. So we're at about 1 millimeter, okay? So assume that is about a 1 millimeter opening there underneath your coil, hitting it from underneath. But we can adjust the airflow not only to hit the coil from underneath, but also from the sides. And you'll notice right there, there is an opening with a screw, and if I flip this around, there is an opening here with another screw. And if I put my tool in here, I can go ahead and unscrew that, and you should see that screw start to come up, and that would allow air to hit the coil from the side in addition to the bottom. So you can see that opening and closing. Now, I have played with these adjustments, and we'll talk about that more once I start talking about vaping this device. Now, down here we have 2 holes. That's where we are going to feed our wick down into the tank section. Again, that tank section is going to be a 2 mil capacity. And we have this very interesting little doohickey right here. You can see that that is spring-loaded. What is that? That is a push-fill system, okay? So when that is up, right, you are not getting any liquid into or out of that tank other than through the wick holes. But when I push it down, that is how we fill the tank. So the tank is called an RDTA. I've also seen it being called a squonk tank, okay? I actually prefer the term squonk tank for this and not RDTA, because RDTA, the D in that is dripping. You don't really drip on this, guys. I mean, you know, you can, but you're going to flood everything, especially with the cotton down there in the wick holes. So I think this is more of a squonk tank and less of a dripping tank, okay? I hope that makes sense to you guys. But this little guy right here, really neat and really, really easy to use this to fill the tank. Now, some of your larger glass dripper bottles, those of you who are still using those, you might have a little bit more of a challenge here. But with the Chubby Gorillas and the plastic bottles that I have, this has worked out really, really well. And we'll see that in use in just a little bit. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out is the length of the coil that you can fit in here. You can fit a pretty long coil in here, and I actually have a theory about coil length and flavor production. I'll go ahead and share that with you in this video. All right, so like I said, this is a theory that I've had, and it seems to work, and I just wanted to share it with you to see what you guys think about it, okay? So I'm going to draw a coil, okay? This is the extent of my drawing capabilities, okay? That's a coil. Now, by the way, Dimitri made that coil. Now, we all know that coils glow from the inside to the outside, right? So if we have a shorter coil, we have less of a range of temperature. And we all know that as we adjust the wattage of a coil, and therefore adjusting the heat of a coil, flavor profiles seem to change, right? So if you increase the heat, you might bring out something else and you might reduce something. If you decrease the heat, you might bring out something else and you might decrease something. So if we have a longer coil, that coil has more of a range of temperatures in it, and therefore might give you more of a range of flavors in your liquid. Just a theory that I have, and I wanted to share it with you. So that is why I typically build as long a coil as possible for a particular device. All right, so let's just start vaping it, and let's start talking about the vape quality on this one, which I'm really, really a fan of. I have vaped this on numerous devices. Right now, I've got it on the No Name Avatar Squonk Box. This is a DNA 60 Squonk Box, and I have it in temperature control. So I'll go ahead and vape it, and it's working really, really well in temperature control. I've got a stainless steel 316L coil in here right now. It is set for 440 degrees, which is like right where it's supposed to be, and it's outstanding. I am getting, with the black mouthpiece, I do get a little bit of condensation in my mouth. I'm going to go ahead and switch that over to the clear mouthpiece. All right, so I've got the clear mouthpiece on it now. I'm going to readjust my airflow. Less condensation in the mouth there. I find this mouthpiece to be a little bit less comfortable because my mouth is kind of sitting on the tank. I find this one a little bit more comfortable. I think this one in the same internal diameter as this one would probably be outstanding. So what I'm getting from this is really, really good, solid flavor. I'm also getting a nice warm vape, but it's not overly warm. I'm not feeling any heat or temperature on my lips at the tank. I'm seeing really good vapor production, and I'm getting a very good throat hit from this one. A nice, solid, defined throat hit. Now, I said I'd use this in several different configurations. So the first build, I used the pre-built coil that they gave me. And the second build, I just used the stainless steel 316. I have used it on this no-name Avatar Squonk box. I used it on the Espion Silk, which I have a review coming out this week on. I have also used it on the Lost Vape Paranormal DNA 250C, and I have used Replay for the first time. I don't know if I'm going to do a full review. I tell you what, maybe I'll just do a video on my thoughts on Replay and what you can expect from it, okay? So I've used it here too, all with great success, all with really, really good success. Never had any leaking from it, never had any gurgling unless I over squonked. All right, so how else have I used this tank? And before I do that, let's talk again about the airflow on this tank. And I'll use an image that Vapefly gave me. If we take a look at this one here, the blue lines, you can see the blue arrows there are defining the airflow path. And you can see in purple there, it is showing you where the coil would be. Now, if I have those two screws all the way screwed down, you'll see that the airflow is only going to hit the coil from underneath. But as I loosen those two screws, it is also going to allow some air to hit the coil from the side as well. So, did I play with that adjustment? Yes, I did. I tried it all the way closed, which I actually really enjoyed. Okay, it is a tighter draw, but I really enjoyed all the way closed. I tried it open more. Okay, actually very, very open. It opens up the draw, but I also think it makes the throat hit a little bit sloppy. Okay, I wound up getting a little bit of a sloppier throat hit as I opened those two side screws. Now, if I just take those screws and I just give them like maybe half a turn to a turn, okay, that's when it seems to like open up the flavor a little bit. I think that I'm getting a little bit more flavor when I open them up just a little bit, right? But it doesn't affect my throat hit. It doesn't make the throat hit get sloppy. I think there's like another design in here that we're going to see in a little bit that I'm not too sure about. And we'll talk about that. But it's been a really good experience, guys. This has been an excellent tank to do the analysis on, and I think if I am squonking, this is going to be my tank of choice. A couple other things about the builds that I put in there. I always like when I just, because I'm always going at 100 miles a minute, when I can just throw a build in a device. I don't have to be fussy with cotton. I don't have to, think about things that much. I can just throw a build in and it works perfectly. That has been my experience with this, with both of the builds that I put in there. It just seemed to work perfectly. And that was with either a 50/50 PGVG or the current liquid that I have in it right now, which is the Bromance Strawberry Malt. By the way, we have the next two flavors coming. This is a 70/30. And just working really, really well, wicking, keeping up, no problems at all. All right, so what do you say? Let's see how we can fill this, and I'll try to show you both different methods for filling this, and then we'll take everything apart, we'll break the tank into its pieces and parts, and we'll put a build in there for you. All right, so for this first fill, let's fill this up by squonk filling. And for those of you who don't know what squonking is, we have a bottle in the device. I'll back the bottle up a little bit. We have a bottle of e-liquid in the device. There's some kind of tube or some kind of system that feeds up into the atomizer through that little pin that we replaced before, and it is either going to feed your coil or, in this case, feed the tank. Very important with this one, don't overfill the tank because you could wind up flooding the build deck, and you don't want to do that. You're going to have a really gurgly, nasty vape, okay? So anyway, that's what squonking is. So let's go ahead and fill this by squonking, by squeezing the bottle here, and I'll zoom in, and we'll take a look at what happens. And you'll notice here as I squeeze, that tank starts to fill up. Okay, and eventually it will fill all the way. And again, try not to over squonk it, try not to overfill it, because you'll wind up flooding this area, and you don't want to do that. All right, so that's the first method. Let me go ahead and drain this out, and I'll show you the second method. All right, so now let's take a look at the second method. You can see it's empty again. I'll go ahead and pop the cap. And this is going to be the push-to-fill method using this port right there. And I tell you what, that port makes me kind of nostalgic. It really does. I mean, it reminds me of some of the older K-Fun designs. the Russian, where we had kind of similar filling. I really like this, and I have a feeling we are going to see this on a lot more devices, okay? Especially now, and I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for the Squape guys because I gave them a hard time about their tiny little hole. But that tiny little hole was introduced, I think, a little bit too soon. I think if it had been introduced like a year later, I wouldn't have had any issue with that tiny little hole because most of my bottles would have been replaced by something with a little bit of a smaller applicator, if that makes any sense. So sorry, Squape guys, you were a little ahead of your time on that one. But anyway, so here's how we fill it. We just go ahead and take that tip. We push it up against that hole, just like that. I hope you can see that. And we push down. You can see that pin move there, or that whole piece move. And then once it's pushed down, we go ahead and squeeze our bottle, and into the tank the e-liquid goes. And you can see that happening right there. Okay, and I overfilled it a little bit, but I just wanted to show you that fill method. So really, really cool there. I really, really dig that, and I have a feeling we're going to see that on a lot more designs in the future. But you can also see by me doing that, I really didn't drip. I didn't drip to fill that tank. I did have to use that plug right there. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to call this an RDTA because it really doesn't act very well as a dripping atomizer. And of course, now we would just replace our cap. You can see that it's going to self-seat here as I spin this around, and now I have control of the airflow with those two stop points, okay? All right, so now let's take this tank, let's tear it all apart, let's put it back together, and let's put a build in there for you. All right, so I have it broken down to you most of its pieces and parts here. I just wanted to show you how the tank section comes off should you need to replace that tank. You can see that it just does screw on to the base like that. I also wanted to show you, too, to get that glass off, you're just going to kind of pop your finger in there and it'll come out. But if your O-ring does get stuck on the glass, which mine did, there is a certain way that O-ring goes in there. So let me pry that one out for you. All right, so I've got the O-ring out. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that, but you'll notice that there is kind of a skinny part on the top there and a wider base on the bottom. So that's the bottom, and that's the top. Okay, so make sure that you orient that the correct way should it get stuck to your glass and should you need to put it back into this piece right here. Okay, like that. So now let's just put our glass back on there and screw it back onto the base. Oh, and by the way, this base here, let me just show you this. If I do remove that pin, nothing comes loose in the build deck itself, okay? So you do have a little bit of adjustability on that pin without screwing up things on your deck, okay? So you can see everything is still very, very firm on the deck. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put a build in here. As far as the difficulty of this build, I wouldn't call it very difficult, but I also wouldn't call it as easy as something like a Siren 2 or an Ares, okay? So let's go ahead and put the build in this deck. All right, so for this build, I'm going to use some stainless steel 316L. This is going to be 26 gauge. I'm going to go around a 2.5 millimeter bit, and I'm going to use some Muji cotton for this, all right? So let's go ahead and make our coil, and I am going to make a spaced coil, and I am going to just fit it for the atomizer. All right, I'm going to take that coil, I'm going to tighten it up and space it. And to space it, I'm just going to pull it out and push it back in. And now I'm going to clean my leads up. Okay, so let's see how that coil fits in the Addy. Okay, so that actually fits quite nice, and I have a nice long coil in there, so I'm going to go ahead and hold it with my finger. I'm going to bend these two leads back, and we'll go ahead and tighten the leads now. Okay, so that side is good and captured. I'm going to swing it around, put my build tool back in, and do the same with the other side. Okay, so that looks captured pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and trim my leads. Make sure you trim nice and close. You don't want to get any shorts. All right, and now I'm just going to center my coil and make sure it's where I want it to be. Okay, I like my coil very, very close to the airflow. And that's how it looks right now. Even though this is spaced and it's stainless steel, I'm just going to give it a quick pulse and you'll see it will definitely glow nice and even. Yep, perfect. Okay. All right, so now we got to get some cotton in there, and this is not difficult again, but a little bit tricky because we have these two what look like pretty big holes here to get your cotton down inside of, but it's a little bit more of a challenge than like something that's open and you could just kind of lie your cotton down on the side. Okay, so we do have to get our cotton through that coil and down into those two holes. Okay, I like my cotton nice and tight in the coil. I think that helps with popping. And now I'm just going to kind of take this down to the side, measure it, and cut it right about there. Now you can have that cotton go all the way down to the bottom of the tank. You can have it just kind of like sitting at the top of the tank because as you're just using the atomizer, that cotton's going to wind up seeing the e-liquid. One thing I want to do here is because those holes are so small, I'm just going to kind of brush out my cotton a little bit and get some of those fibers out of there. This is also going to help with wicking too, guys. Okay, now I'm going to give these a little trim this way. Like that. A little trim here too. Like that. And now I will try to get that cotton down into those holes. Now, if you feel that cotton choking, you're probably adding too much. Remember, it's going to expand a little bit there once it gets wet. Okay, and we can see the cotton kind of peeking through there. I could have done that a little bit longer, but I think it's going to work out just fine. All right, so let's get this started. I can actually get it started by squonking it for you. So let's go ahead and squonk. We'll see that tank start to fill up. And if I give it a little bit more, we should start to see the e-liquid poke through and soak the cotton. You do have a little hole there too as well. Okay, let's fire it up. Terrific. That's it. Let's have a vape. Damn it, we're not having a vape yet. I forgot to show you something, okay? Let me show you this here first. So this is the an Aries. So this is a bell similar to the design on so many atomizers out there. Just a bell that's going to fit over the build deck, and it's going to guide your vapor very smoothly to the top of the bell and then into the port here, which is going to feed the chimney, which is going to feed your mouthpiece. So the bell would just kind of sit over the entire build deck like that. This is a little bit different. It's a little bit more open. I'm calling it an open bell design because if we take a look at the top cap here, you'll notice that everything is open. And we see this rounded section up here, but we also see this raised part, and this raised part has that curve like a bell. So, I mean, it's kind of like I said, it's kind of an open bell design. I think this would benefit from something a little bit more closed. I think you're going to get a little bit of air turbulence up there. Of course, I have no way to tell that without seeing the inside and seeing what's going on. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was a more closed bell system with a more traditional design and a more traditional chimney, that you might wind up with perhaps a little bit of a smoother vape, perhaps a little bit more defined throat hit, and perhaps even a little bit more flavor, although flavor does not seem to be suffering from this atomizer. I just wanted to show you the difference in the design here from more traditional designs. We almost vaped again. I want to show you one more thing, how I've been liking the side airflow open. So right now I have both of these closed down all the way. Okay, so they're both closed, but let me show you how much I've been liking this open. So I got my tool in here, and about, watch the thing turn, about that much. It's about one turn open. Okay, and I noticed that they've been holding their setting, so that's just going to let just a little bit more air in and hit the coil from the side as well. That's what I've been digging. One more thing, just wanted to show you the airflows that I've been enjoying with those two side screws closed all the way down and the coil just getting its air from underneath. The biggest one, okay, so the biggest opening on both that side and that side as well. With that side airflow open, just that single turn, I've been enjoying just the single. The single is on this side. The single 1.4 right there. All right, so now we're actually going to vape. Okay, so I've got it this time on the paranormal DNA 250C, and I'm replaying. Look, see, there it is. I'm replaying, okay? So that's about it, guys. That's about it with this one. Really happy with this one. I like the looks of it too. I think that's a good looking atomizer, and it's working really well in that 22 millimeter 4 mount to long with a squonk option too. Yay! Very happy with this atomizer. So let's do some thumbs up, thumbs down. We will start with thumbs down just like we always do. So thumbs down, here's what I got on this one. The little bit of a longer mouthpiece, although very, very comfortable, I think could do with maybe a slightly larger bore on the inside. Maybe get a little less condensation in your mouth. There's that. And the only other little negative I have is maybe they could give you some bigger wick holes to get the cotton down inside, but that could potentially lead to some leaking, although I've never received any leaking from this atomizer. And maybe another one, and this is just like a what if, maybe if they had done it a little bit differently with a more traditional bell on the inside, you might get a little bit of a smoother vape, maybe a little bit more flavor. I don't know. I'm still getting plenty of flavor from this one, but it's just a little bit more of an unconventional design, and I think it might be adding to some air turbulence on the inside, but still a great vape. All right, so that's thumbs down. What do I have for thumbs up? Again, the looks of this. 2, the mouthpiece, very, very comfortable. The longer one, even a little bit more comfortable. The airflow options on this one. I really like the airflow options. I like the fact that the airflow stops in both directions and doesn't just spin around. That's going to make putting it on your device easier. That's going to make getting it off of your device easier. I really dig that little push to fill method. Like I said, I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. But it just doesn't lead to the fact that this is an RDTA. I would just call this a rebuildable squonk tank. The vapor flavor and throat hit is fantastic on this. And that's kind of it. That's what I have for this one. So overall, this one gets a very, very positive thumbs up from me. All right, guys, so that's just about the end of this video. But like I said, there's currently not a contest going on, at least at the time that I'm making this video. But I want to kick off another one to win your very own Vapefly Galaxies MTL RDTA. I want to give you something to fire this on too. I've got the Joytech Espion Silk, and I was expecting more, but anyway, I've got the video of this for this coming up this week as well. So what I'll do is I'll kind of jump the gun a little bit, and I will make this the giveaway for this particular not a contest. So again, for this not a contest, an Espion Silk from Joytech and a Vapefly Galaxies MTL RDTA up for grabs. What are we going to do? How about a TV scenes this time? Because they're getting ready. They're getting ready to start the new season on this particular TV show. If you know what this particular TV show is, here's what you have to do. Get an email address to contest@tasteyourjuice.com. In the subject line of the email, you're going to put your first name, your last name, dash the name of this TV show right here, which I'm really excited that it's going to get started up again. All right, so today's date is August 8th. Oh, 8/8/18, crazy eights. So we've been letting these end on Wednesday, so we'll do the same thing for this one. You have until Wednesday, August 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get your entries in for this particular not a contest. That's it, guys. That is the end of this video. I hope you found some of the information helpful. As always, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.
Can I taste your juice?